ey, A. Esta cajita la tengo apagada. A ver, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, ey, A. Sí, ey, A. Sí, sí, ey, A. Sí, ahora sí, ey, A. Sí, sí, ey, A. 1, 2, 3, ey, A. Hola, sí, buenas. 1, 2, 3. ¿Te entra bien? ¿Te debería entrar todo al mismo nivel? En los... Sí, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hola, sí, 1, 2, 3. Si quieres, quédate tú con este. Y cuando quieras hablas. Sí. Lo único, está saliendo a streaming y a sala también, ¿vale? Sí, vale. Que sepas que estás... Oh, te corto sala. ¿No?
Sí, sí. Necane, papi, probamos entonces. ¿En cuál estás enchufado? En castellano, vale. Yo ahora tengo un micro de mano, en de mano, y está saliendo original. Entonces, bueno, ya sabes que esto del streaming lleva un retardo de 20 segunditos o así. Ahora me está saliendo a mí, pero en teoría lo debería estar oyendo enseguida en el streaming, ¿vale? Eso es. Claro, no, pero no puedes cambiar los idiomas porque aquí no hay intérpretes. Entonces tenemos que ir probándolos de uno en uno y te... Ah, vale. No, por eso, no, pero ya lo comprobamos con los audios también. Entonces, tú ahora estás escuchando en castellano. Entonces, yo te voy a salir primero en sala, ¿vale? Que esto es sala y te voy a salir en castellano en traducción, ¿vale? Por ejemplo, si estuvieran hablando en euskera y traduce el intérprete a castellano. Y luego, cuando lo tengas comprobado, me llamas y hacemos lo mismo con el de euskera. Primero salgo en sala en euskera y luego salgo en euskera con la traducción. Y luego lo mismo con inglés y ya está, ¿vale? Entonces, dime, cuando me estés oyendo, no sé si me va a estar oyendo ya, ¿no? Vale, bueno, pues compruébalo y yo voy contando sin más del 1 al 10 y voy a comprobarlo también en mi móvil, ¿vale? Venga, hecho. A ver, entonces estamos probando, debería sonar. Y dice que no le suena. Pues vamos a ver por qué. Ahora está salido en castellano. No, pues yo sí. En castellano está saliendo. Esto es sonido de sala. Esto es sonido de sala. Y ahora me voy a meter, por ejemplo, en una cabina de interpretación y tendría que encenderlo, pero en castellano. Salía en castellano como si ellos estuvieran hablando en euskera y yo saliera en castellano. ¿Qué sería eso? Eso es. Ahora habla tú si quieres y así... Sí, vale. Vale, entonces... Vale. A eso que pasamos a euskera.
Vale, salgo a euskera, estoy saliendo a euskera ahora mismo. Este es el canal de euskera y yo soy el intérprete que
Primero déjame el sonido de sala, entonces, y orduan nik orain euskaraz hitz egiten ari naiz, eta zu bigarren streaming horretan bazaude, da euskaraz entzun nahi duzula, eta beraz, hori soinu originala entzuten naiz, eta batean, interpretera pasako gara. Soinu originala entzuten naiz, eta batean interpretera pasako gara. Bueno, está bien.
Lo oía porque se me colaba por el micro, claro, que es ahí.
Ah, claro.
Está bien, ¿no?
Sí, le voy a decir, pasamos a inglés.
Vale, inglés, hablando inglés.
Navegador, abrir otro, no sé qué. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Este sería el sonido de sala en inglés, ¿vale? In English. In English. This is English. This is English floor. Okay, yeah. We will pass to the interpreter.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Eso es. Pues ahora aquí este sería The English Channel. My name is Masi. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Y poco más, ¿no? Yo fracaso del sistema educativo, ¿eh? Son una prueba palpable. Que poco se me ocurre. Los colores y tal, el más. Ya no había. Boban era todavía un adolescente.
Buena pronunciación, dicen.
Incluso excelente. Vale, pues listo, ¿no? Vale, pues esto está para empezar, ¿no?
Hola, hola. Hola, 1, 2. Hola, 1, 2, 3. Hola. Hola, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hola, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hola, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hola, buenas. Hola, 1, 2. Hola, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probando 1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
Sí, hola, sí. Hola, sí. Ya.
Sí, 1, 2, 3. Hola, buenas, 1, 2, 3. Ey, sí, 1, 2, 3. Hola, sí, buenas, tal cual, 1, 2, 3. Sí, sí, ey, 1, 2, 3. Ey, ey. Ei, sí, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Vale, me avisa Rubén, ¿eh? Está entendida, me dices. Vale, otra diferencia, tengo atrás tapado. Ok.
Good morning. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, dear shareholders, I'd like to welcome you to the GSM on behalf of the Board of Directors and on my own behalf, and I would like to thank you for attending the GSM of Euskaltel SA, and I would also like to thank those who have been invited to this meeting. The Secretary will now mention the data corresponding to the convening of this GSM, and if you agree, we can consider those to have been read. Therefore, we consider the calling of the meeting to have been read. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to all shareholders. As the Chairman's mentioned, we will now inform the shareholders that in accordance with legal and statutorily applicable regulations, this GSM, which is going to be held here, has been convened by agreement of the Board of Directors adopted at its session on the 27th of February 2019. And having been the announcement of the call being published on the 28th of February 2019 on the company's webpage and also on the webpage of the CMV, the National Securities Market Commission, as well as in the newspapers Expansion and ABC. Well, those are just nerves you're showing, and that's what you get for doing things live. It was 2019, not 2018. And we'd also like to inform the shareholders of the presence at the GSM of the notary of the Notaries Association of the Basque Country, Vicente Maria de la Genal, who's been required by the Board of Directors to record the minutes of the GSM in accordance with the Article 203 of the Capital Companies Law and applicable regulations. And I'd like to ask the notary to stand up so that all of those present can identify him. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Notary. Vicente. Therefore, the presiding panel of the ordinary GSM is constituted in accordance with the regulations of the GSM of Euskaltel, formed by the members of the Board of Directors, Alicia Vivanco, representing Cartera 1, a limited company, Luis Ramon Arieta, Javier Hernández, representing Corporación Financiera Alba, Mr. José Ángel Corres, Belén Amatrián, Iñaki Alzalga, Elisabetta Castellón, Miguel Ángel Lujana, and John James. Myself, as well as the CEO, Mr. Francisco Arteche, the Secretary of the Board of Directors, Luis Alba, and the Vice Secretary of the Board of Directors, Gonzalo Silveiro. Acting as Secretary and Chair of the GSM are those who hold the same posts in the Board of Directors, Mr. Luis Alba and myself, respectively. I'd now like to hand the floor to the Secretary to provide you the details of those attending. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The provisional list of those present via digital forms, the provisional quorum is as follows. Present 59 shareholders holding 2,679,675 shares, representing 1.2414% of the total share capital. These are holding 1,700,000, representing 0.594% of the stock capital, have notified their votes prior to the convening of this meeting. Represented at the meeting are 129 shareholders representing 120 million, and also the corresponding percentage of shares representing 67.47% of the capital stock. Consequently, totally 192 shareholders are present, representing 68.71% of the capital stock. For the purposes provided for in Article 52 of the Capital Companies Act, it stipulated that the total shares of the capital stock of the company, representing 0.093 of the capital stock, have been calculated within the capital stock for the purpose of calculating the necessary quorum for establishing agreements in this meeting, as well as the corresponding voting rights, which cannot be exercised in the event of abstentions. This meeting is being held in the first call, and the quorum complies with that established in Article 17 of the GSM and also the Article 98 of the regulations governing AGMs in accordance with the data required for the sufficient quorum and also the regulations of the company. These will be provided once we have the full details, we'll provide them to you as soon as they are available. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Well, based on the data that have been read out by the Secretary, the GSM is deemed to be validly constituted in the first call. Before we move on to the agenda of the GSM and in compliance with the provisions established in Article 101.3 of the Regulations of the Mercantile Register, I would like to hand the floor to the notary, Vicente María de la General, to also proceed to make the questions to the GSM legally envisaged to determine whether any reservations or anyone would like to protest or challenge any of these statements. In compliance with that established in Article 101.3 of the Mercantile Register Regulations, I would like to ask the GSM if there are any reservations or challenges regarding any of the information given by the Chair regarding the provisional number of shareholders present and the capital stock represented and present. No, there are no questions from the floor. Thank you very much. In order to continue with this in a fluid manner, the order of interventions will be as follows. I will firstly read out the agenda and also provide you with a brief presentation of the contents of each point and also the proposed agreements which are submitted for the approval by this AGM. Then we will open up the floor for shareholders to take the floor to give them the opportunity to request any information or request clarification that they deem appropriate. The floor will be given to the order requested, and the responses will be given at the end of all of the interventions. In accordance with the provisions established in the regulations of the General Shareholders Meeting, I would like to ask the shareholders that wish to take the floor to now approach the panel where the notary is present to identify yourselves, indicating your name, your surname, the number of shares held, or those that you represent. If the shareholder would like to ask their intervention to literally be recorded in the minutes to the GCM, this must be indicated beforehand, and that's from that moment in writing to the notary in order for this to be able to compare this and then for the shareholder to be able to take the floor. Then we will move on to the voting of the proposals regarding the agreements. Thus, we hereby begin this GSM. The agenda is as follows. Items relating to the annual accounts, company management and the statutory audit. Point 1, examination and approval of the individual annual accounts of Euskaltel and the consolidated annual accounts of Euskaltel and subsidiaries for the financial year ended 31st December 2018. Point 2, examination and approval of the individual management report of Euskaltel and the consolidated management report of Euskaltel and subsidiaries for the financial year ended 31st December 2018. Point 3, examination and approval of the consolidated statement of non-financial information of Euskaltel and subsidiaries for FY ended 31st December 2018. Point 4, examination and approval of company management and activities of Euskaltel's Board of Directors during financial year ending 31st December 2018. Point 5, re-election of KPMG Auditores SL as auditors of the individual annual accounts of Euskaltel and as auditors of the annual accounts of the consolidated group made up of Euskaltel and subsidiaries for FY 2019. Items relating to the amendment of the bylaws. Point 6, amendment of the bylaws. Subpoint 6.1, amendment of Article 4 of the bylaws. Company object, company purpose, in order to describe and specify in greater detail the services provided by Euskaltel within the company object of Euskaltel that are not specifically determined in the current text thereof. Point 6.2, amendment of Article 62 of the bylaws, directors' remuneration, in order to first provide greater transparency to the company's remuneration system, transferring the current items of remuneration to the bylaws, and secondly, provide greater control to shareholders. Point relating to the composition of the Board of Directors. 7, re-election of directors. 7.1, re-election of Mrs. Belén Amatrián Corby as independent director for the bylaw mandated term of 4 years. Second, re-election of Iñaki Alzaga Acheta as independent director for the bylaw mandated term of 4 years. Items relating to shareholder remuneration and director remuneration. Approval of the proposed application of results of Euskaltel and distribution of dividends corresponding to the financial year ended 31st December 2018. Point 9, approval of the annual maximum overall amount of remuneration of the Board of Directors. Point 10, approval of the Directors' remuneration policy for financial years 2019, 20 and 21. Item relating to general matters, delegation of powers Point 11, delegation of powers to formalise and implement all resolutions adopted by the shareholders at the general meeting for conversion thereof into a public instrument and for the interpretation, correction and supplementation thereof, further elaboration thereon and registration thereof, and to carry out mandatory filing of accounts. 12, item relating to resolutions submitted to a consultative vote regarding annual director remuneration report for financial year ended 31st December 2018. Supplement to the call to the meeting, pursuant to the provision, the document relating to this general meeting has been made available prior to the celebration of this event on the webpage of the company and also at the head office as of the date of publication of the call of the meeting, in particular the meetings that are the agreements that are submitted for approval at this GM, and also the reports of the corresponding directors, that a copy of which has been handed in to the notary. Okay. Before we briefly address the points of the agenda, I would like to hand the floor, as is normal, to Francisco Arteche, the CEO, to give us an evaluation of the evolution of the company. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning to you all. Good morning to everyone present, and good morning to everyone who is following us via streaming. Well, I would like to start by highlighting the good horizon, or the positive horizon, that awaits our company. The year 2018 has been a year in which we've begun to lay the foundations, not just to become the leading operator in northern Spain, but to become one of the leading operators in Spain with coverage throughout the country. 2018 has also been a year of transformation, thanks to the business strategy for the period 2018-2022. Our steps are increasingly firm, and we are ready to tackle the challenges of the sector with great potential and future growth. This strategy is our starting point. It's coherent with the strengths that have driven us to become the operator and ally in which users in the Basque Country trust most, as well as in Asturias and Galicia. It's also coherent with our growth plan ever since the company was listed 3 years ago. And it's also consistent with our values and with a business model that works, that provides guarantees and displays great financial solidity. We are currently in the top 3 companies in the European telecommunications sector in terms of EBITDA margin and also cash flow generation, with the best ratios over income and also the highest productivity per employee. This data demonstrates both the strength in numbers of our company and also the efficiency of our company and a team of great experience. In order to continue moving forward, it's essential that we continue to maintain this approach and this line, and also commit to those areas in which we have room for improvement. Within our strategy, we approached the years 2018 and 2019 as years of transition, years which would allow us to introduce the different measures that would allow the company to reach cruise speed. We're halfway there, and I'd like to inform you that we're moving forward at a good pace. Furthermore, despite this being a year of transition, we closed 2018 reaching turnover of 692 million euros, which is 11.2% up on income in 2017. We also achieved net income of almost 63 million euros, which represents a 26.6% increase over the previous year. In terms of operating income or earnings, EBITDA, this stands at 336.4 million euros, 9.6% higher than the previous year. And the EBITDA margin reached 48.6%, up 42 base points on last year. In total, and despite the expected increase in expenditure associated with our expansion integration plans, we've grown by 24% in our capacity to generate free cash flow, reaching 124 million euros, which represents almost 18% of income. Furthermore, we're continually reducing our debt, which now stands at below 4.5 times EBITDA as a multiple. All of this should provide us with the necessary confidence to undertake the transformation of the company with financial security. This transformation is based on 5 pillars. They're pillars that will allow us to face future challenges of the Eusk Group and will provide us with the necessary structure to be competitive in the medium and long term. Our first pillar is expansion. We've started our journey in Navarra. This is a crucial step, which has allowed us to validate the model which we will use in other markets. And it's also provided us the key as to the next steps to follow. First of all, furthermore, we've also prepared our expansion to León, Cantabria and La Rioja, where we're beginning to market our products in 2019. In fact, we're going to start this month and next month. Similarly, we've established a plan of strategic alliances which will drive our expansion even more, and which will allow us to pull together synergies in order to support that growth, creating new channels to achieve clients, but also to broaden our offer. Through these channels, we've managed to reach an agreement with the Royal Automobile Association in Catalonia, with which we'll market our products and services among its members under the Ractel Plus brand. So, by broadening our horizons, our company will reach more than 1 million new homes in 2019, and we expect all these new markets to represent 8% of new income in 2022. The second pillar is simplification. We're immersed in a transformation and simplification plan of the company, which will result in improved products, greater digitalization, greater agility and also efficiency, which will generate more than 43 million euros per year in savings by the year 2022. We're currently working on unifying all of the company's architecture by unifying our Telecable and Euskaltel work models into a single model in order to guarantee the necessary uniformity or homogeneity, which will guarantee efficiency and effectiveness. In 2018, we've taken various steps forward in this sense, and we've also included projects such as the development of collaborative tools for our employees, a new CRM, or the unification of the apps that our customers use. Furthermore, we've recently merged the company's R and Telecable companies, unifying the activity for the exploitation of our network operations in Asturias and Galicia through ZTE, as we did in the Basque Country in 2014. Thirdly, third pillar, best user experience. Well, thanks to a convergent offer that's highly competitive in quality price terms, this places us as a benchmark in family solutions based on broadband, TV and fixed lines, and mobile lines, sorry. The company has, in its own right, become the most advanced telecommunication operator in Europe in terms of the HFC fibre network, and we've also been the first to roll out the DOCSIS 3.1 technology throughout our network, which allows us to achieve speeds, very fast speeds at all nodes. This allows us to offer the best experience in broadband through internet. It's not only more stable, it's also faster and more efficient. Furthermore, we complement this with better Wi-Fi experience in homes, offices and also in the street. Specifically in the case of Wi-Fi at home, we've now exceeded a total of 100,000 Wi-Fi audits performed in the customers' homes. So room by room we can guarantee coverage throughout homes, which is a very important part of client experience. As regards television, we offer the best television experience through our 4K Android decoder, a decoder which has already allowed us to achieve very high satisfaction indices. A decoder in which we've achieved a market share of 80% in Spain. And this is also added to strategies of alliances with third parties that has allowed us to become leaders in terms of the offering of content services such as Netflix and Amazon Prime Video. The fourth pillar, growth in the company sector. We know that 1/3 of our income comes from B2B companies. For this reason, we are firmly committed to becoming the best partner for them through a unified commercial strategy, through the launch of new products and services which are related to business digital transformation and through investment in people and talent within the company itself. As a result of our work in this sector, in 2018 we renewed our contracts with our major customers, and we also lead the B2B market in SMEs, small offices and also home offices, the SOHO sector, with shares above 60% in the market in which we operate. Furthermore, in terms of the development of new areas and products, the Euskaltel Group is also strengthening technologies related to Wi-Fi, mobility, in AI, the Internet of Things, the Industry 4.0, apps and new technologies, which has opened up innumerable opportunities to do business for us, and which has also provided extensive recognition on the part of institutions and companies. This provides us with an excellent springboard, not just to drive our growth, but also to extend our portfolio as a provider of ICT solutions, and also reach new market segments. And finally, and the fifth pillar, are people. Perhaps this is the most important pillar. The Euskaltel Group is a project formed by people, a people-driven project, a project in which people management incorporates recognition, innovation, professional development, motivation, and the commitment and pride of belonging to build our corporate reputation and our brands. This culture, which is now shared across the organization, has turned us into a benchmark in terms of customer service, commitment and accompaniment, without losing sight of those growth and development opportunities in new business areas and also new geographic markets. This year in the Euskaltel Group, there are two initiatives that I would like to share with you in particular. As a telecommunications company, Euskaltel has always hired professionals in STEM environments. For us, it's important to transmit to society the importance of strengthening training and professional development in both men and women without distinction. For this reason, and in line with our equality policy, we promote collaboration programs with training centres to promote the presence of women in different degrees, professional careers, and also training programs related to the Euskaltel Group business. Furthermore, this year we've developed the Women with Talent program as a commitment to advance towards equality and the promotion of female leadership, highlighting the role that women must play in the Euskaltel Group.
In sum, this is a plan to respond to the trust of our shareholders. A business plan until 2022 foreseeing a growing dividend and reduction of net debt below 3.5 times EBITDA. Our objective is to continue growing in revenues until we reach 0.8 billion of turnover in 4 years and EBITDA all the way up to 0.4 billion euros by 2022. The operating cash flow will accelerate its growth as most of the simplification plan evolves during this year. Our goal during this year, 2019, is gaining traction as the year goes by and enhancing our performance every quarter, as the different initiatives we're implementing actually come to fruition. And I would like to close with a reflection on the present status of the market. In most of my many meetings with investors and analysts, there's always a question about how I see or how Euskaltel sees the market facing the future. And there's a clear feeling that the answer people want to hear is well or very well. The truth is we're going or living through competitive times, which does not seem to be changing in the short term. During this past year, 2018, we lived significantly harsh times during the summer, during what we call the soccer war, followed by very aggressive price discounts by all of our competitors. For the good of the market, I hope we won't have to see this again, but that was the situation last year. And despite that, we closed a good year, and this is where I wanted to insist. After 1 year that has been probably the toughest one in terms of competition, we ended up with high net numbers and significant profit, and that is our strength. We are a company that have earned the trust of our clients. We offer them accessibility. We accompany them in their technological challenges, and we walk with the path with them. We believe we're the best in this sense, and we have the tools to make our future a promising one. We remain focused on the long-term sustainability of the project. We want to work to respond to the trust our clients have laid on us, and we take the responsibility of bringing development and well-being to our society and to generate employment in the markets in which we operate. This is the commitment we take up every single day, every single person in the Euskaltel group. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Pachi. I was saying thank you, Pachi. Clear and enriching. Thus, I will now give you a short explanation on each item of the agenda and the different agreements subject to the approval of this GSM. In the first 5 points on the yearly accounts and auditing, we propose approving the Euskaltel individual and consolidated accounts closed at December 31st, 18, approving the consolidated reports closed at December 31st, 18, and approving the consolidated non-financial information status of Euskaltel closed at December 31st and 18, and approving the corporate management of last year closed at December 31st, and reappointing KPMG auditors to audit the individual Euskaltel and consolidated group accounts made up by Euskaltel and subsidiaries corresponding to the financial year that will end on December 31st, 2019. As for the changes in the corporate bylaws, we propose to change several of such bylaws, including Article 4 of social bylaws, to further specify the social purpose of Euskaltel, including the services paid by the company within the present social target or objective not specifically listed in the present wording, and Article 62 concerning independent board members or directors to provide greater transparency to the remuneration regime and offer greater control to shareholders. As for the makeup of the board member, we propose the re-election of Ms. Belén Ametraín and Mr. Iñaki Aziaga as independent directors for the bylaw period of 4 years. As for the remuneration to shareholders, we propose to approve the following proposal for the distribution of complementary dividend to the financial year closed on December 18. Distributing the profit of this year of 92,088,479 euros in the following way. To legal reserves, 9,208,847 euros with 92 cents, and to voluntary reserves, 27,499,569 euros with 69 cents. And to dividends, 25,010,350 euros with 40 cents, and to complementary dividend, 30,369,711 euros with 20 cents, or 0.17 euros per share. This involves a total dividend of 55,380,061 euros with 60 cents. I repeat, 55,380,061 euros and 60 cents. Also, as point 9, we propose to approve the total sum of remuneration of the board, set it to 4.5 million euros as the top maximum amount to be received by all directors for all concepts and for whatever tasks they perform in executive and non-executive functions or tasks. Such maximum limit will remain valid as long as the GSM maintains its approval. In Article 62, it is stated that the GSM established the maximum remuneration of board members for their executive and non-executive tasks without this maximum meaning an increase in the remuneration of directors at all. The aim of this determination is preventing the possibility of tax risk consisting in non-deducting as expenses the sums to be paid to board members. Last, we propose as point 10, changing the remunerations policy of board members in Euskatel according to Article 529 of the corporate law. This policy, which has been made available to shareholders along with the report of the Appointments and Remunerations Committee, will come from the implementation of board member remuneration during financial year 2019. As point 11 in the day's agenda, we propose to delegate the secretary, non-member of the board, and deputy secretary, non-member of the board, so that either of them, and with all the capacities established in the law, may complement, execute, and develop all previous agreements. And as last point on the agenda, number 12, we subject the yearly report on board member remunerations to the voting of this GSM corresponding to financial year 2018. I understand no one has requested the use of the floor, so we can go straight into the final quorum statement. I consider the data expressed by the Secretary as repeated, the number of shareholders present live and by proxy, and the number of shareholders and percentage of stock on the number of shareholders that issued their vote remotely and the actions they hold. In consequence, the number of shareholders attending, the number of shares held, and the number they represent in the company capital. Thus, I consider the quorum as final. Should the Secretary state it again, or will it suffice with the number previously given? That's the final quorum then. The one you read this morning? Well, if we have a new final number, yes, we just got it. The final list, according to the data supplied, the quorum is the following. 64 shareholders owning 2,171,360 shares, 1.215 of the company stock. And out of those, owning 1.61 thousand shares, representing 3.4% of the company capital, have issued their vote remotely. Therefore, represented in this GSM are 139 shareholders owning 120,000 shares, or 564% of the total share. In sum, we have 203 shareholders owning 122,839,000 shares, or 68.76% of the corporate capital. According to Article 148, we state that the 165,000 shares representing 0.09% of the company capital have been included into company capital to the effect of calculating the necessary quota for the adoption of this GSM, although the right of vote for such shares are negligible due to the fact that they're suspense. Considering that the meeting has been summoned in first call, we can consider, according to Article 194 of the corporate law, this shareholder or meeting genuinely and duly confirmed. Having heard the data of the number of shareholders present from the Secretary, we consider these numbers final on the number of shareholders voting remotely and the number of shares they hold. As a consequence of the number of attending shareholders and also the present shareholders and the shares they represent. We now have a final quorum, and therefore I consider this GSM as formally established to deal with the matters included in the agenda. I will now give the floor to the Notary Public again so that he can ask the required questions in case there are any objections on the number of attending shareholders. In compliance with Article 101.3 of the Corporate Law Registration, I ask this general meeting whether there are any objections on the chairman's statement on the number of present shareholders and the shares held. No objections, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So the final list of attendance will be attached to the general meeting's minutes. I will now give the floor to the Secretary for the reading and subsequent voting on the proposals of agreement according to today's agenda. Mr. Secretary, as the Chairman has pointed out, and considering that since the publishing of the summons, all shareholders have seen the proposals which have been made available to them, we consider them as read. According to the bylaws, favorable votes to the proposals will be considered as those made by all shareholders that have granted their vote to A, shares whose holders vote against or blank or in abstention by communication to the notary. B, shares whose shareholders voted no or have expressed their abstention via the means of communication referred to in the general bylaws. And C, shareholders whose shares whose holders have left the meeting before the voting and have stated so to the notary in the room. Therefore, the minute will record con votes, null votes, and abstentions of this meeting, as well as those received by the notary from shareholders and representatives thereof. If any shareholder would like to expressly make their position known, please contact the notary before the end of the voting. And finally, the notice of abandoning the session to the notary must be made in written and signing, stating the name of the representative and number of shares held or represented. We proceed to the voting process. As I understand, there are no objections, so we propose to approve the next point, as the notary states that there are no objections. So we subject the different items in the agenda to voting in this general meeting. The required proposals will be understood as equal to the text made available to shareholders. The first item of the agenda would be approving the individual yearly accounts for Euskaltel and the consolidated accounts for Euskaltel and subsidiaries for financial year closed December 31st, 2018. Is it approved? Thank you. Approved. Item 2 of the agenda, we propose to approve the individual management for Euskaltel and the consolidated Euskaltel and subsidiaries report for financial year closed on December 31st, 2018. Can we consider it approved? The proposal is approved. Item 3, we propose to approve the consolidated non-financial statement of Euskaltel and subsidiaries closed on December 31st, 2018. Is it approved? Proposal is approved. Item 4, we propose to approve the actions and the corporate management of the Board of Euskaltel during the year finished on 31st December 2018. Is it approved? Approved. Item 5, re-electing KPMG Auditors SL as auditor of the individual Euskaltel yearly accounts and auditor of the group made up by Euskaltel and subsidiaries for financial year 2019. Is it approved? It is approved. Item 6, we propose to change these articles of the social bylaws, Articles 4 and 62 of the corporate bylaws, proposals which are subject separately to voting based on the justification terms of the board drafted to such effect. So, first of all, the change of Article 4 of the corporate bylaws. Article 4, is it approved? Thank you. The proposal is approved. Next, we subject the change of Article 62 of the corporate bylaws to voting. Is the proposal approved? It is approved. And the proposal for changing Article 4 concerning the social purpose of Euskaltel, this is a relevant decision of the general shareholders meeting as corresponds to Article 101.3, and it requires the affirmative votes of shareholders representing at least 75% of the corporate capital according to Article 37.2 of the bylaws, Article on interest, 200 on interest of capital. Requirement fulfilled. As for Article 62, it must be approved by absolute majority in case of a quorum exceeding 50%, 54%, or with the favorable vote of 2/3 of the capital according to Article 199 of the Corporate Capital Law. A circumstance that is also met, so both articles are considered approved. Item 7. The re-election of Belena Matriain and Iñaki Alzada as independent board members for the term of 4 years. Each proposal will be voted separately. First of all, the re-election of Belena Matriain as an independent director. Is her re-election approved? Thank you. Proposal approved. Second, the re-election of Iñaki Alzada as independent board member is subject to voting. Is it approved? Thank you. Proposal approved. Item 8. The proposal for implementing the Eusk profit and distribution of dividend corresponding to the financial year 2018. Is it approved? Proposal approved. Item 9 in the agenda. Approve the global maximum amount of the board member director's remuneration. Is the proposal approved? Thank you very much. The proposal is considered approved. Item 10, approval of the company remunerations policy that will be applied for the remuneration of Euskaltel board members during fiscal years 2019, 2020, and 2021. Is it approved? Thank you. Proposal approved. Item 11, delegating faculties for the formalization and execution of agreements adopted by the general meeting. Is it approved? Proposal approved. Item 12, approval of the yearly report on remuneration of board directors during fiscal year 2018. Is it approved? The proposal is approved. Thank you very much, Mr. General. In accordance or in agreement with the bylaws of the GSM and with the data on the votes on present shareholders and votes by proxy, all proposals have been approved. Of the detailed result of the voting, and there will be due notice in the minutes. Also, in agreement with Article 519.3 of the corporate law, the result of these votings will be published. Since the minutes of the GSM are taken by notary public, their approval does not need to be subject to voting of shareholders. And before we close this general meeting, I would like to share some thoughts with you on the general balance of financial year 18 and our perspectives for year 19 as a complement to the words of our CEO. Therefore, I would like to address our shareholders, clients, suppliers, institutions, companies, individuals, employees, and society in general.
In short, all of you form part of this project and have made the Grupo Euskaltel a reality and allow us to continue growing together. The year 2018 was characterized by enormous steps forward in terms of the integration of the entire Euskaltel and the improvement of efficiency, maintaining the idiosyncrasies that define us in each territory without losing the emotional link of each of our brands. Euskaltel in the Basque Country are in Galicia and Telecable in Asturias. And at the same time, 2018 has been a year of expansion towards other neighbouring communities, beginning with our onboarding in Navarra, and also recently in 2019 we've started our business commercial expansion process in León, La Rioja and Cantabria, and we've also reached an agreement with the RACC in Catalonia to offer our services, telecommunications, such as members, under the RAC Tel Plus brand. With this broadening of horizons, our company will reach more than 1 million new homes, and we expect that this will increase 8%. income in new markets in 2022. This strategic growth follows the lines established in the strategic plan for 2017-19, based on the pillars of operational excellence, differential experience, diversified growth, and the protection of customer value. The growth towards new markets strengthens at the same time our presence in traditional markets, will allow us to grow in terms of both income and also our customer base, in compliance with the commitments acquired before our stakeholders. In recent years, technology has advanced at giant paces, at giant steps, and the Euskaltel Group has also witnessed this and participated in. Our business has gradually evolved thanks to actively listening to our interest groups, our stakeholders, through very close connections with local territories in which we operate, which demand more efficiency, speed, simplicity and innovation. We continue to be committed to the development of digital technology through the extension of infrastructures and also the capacity building of our staff in these areas. We've launched new products and services based on new sensor technology, data processing and also AI to apply these in big data, Internet of Things or digital homes to improve people's daily lives. We've already viewed new generations of fixed and mobile lines, 5G, which will also provide greater capacity in order to transmit data, connect more devices and thus control them at low latency levels and thus guaranteeing real-time management. I'd like to talk about values. In the year 2018, we've also continued to grow and to develop a corporate culture based on proximity, honesty, innovation and agility, which are our corporate values. With these values, we work day to day to fulfill our mission, geared to the generation of value in response, or providing a comprehensive response to the communication needs of people and supporting greater productivity of companies, contributing to the economic and social development of the territories where we operate. In corporate governance, we've also deployed our activity by developing a corporate culture and applying all risk recommendations established in good governance regulations. Corporate governance is a cornerstone to guarantee good governance and corporate responsibility of companies, and the Euskaltel Group is a benchmark in the implementation of management models and the assumption of these type of measures to ensure good governance in its organisation. In an international context with growing importance of corporate governance in companies, we continue to move forward in consistency with corporate good governance and also in compliance with the Code of Good Governance of the CMV listed companies. Based on our corporate governance system, this is basing our corporate governance system on the commitment that we assumed to good practices and good governance, business ethics and corporate responsibility in all areas of action. At a time, this is also characterised by the adaptation of the General Data Protection Law, which has been done successfully, highlighting the development of training actions for all of the group's staff. At the same time, we've implemented a unified compliance model. With the implementation of this model, we've taken another step in our commitment to foster an ethical and responsible culture in the organisation, aimed at preventing actions which could give rise to liability in the company, and therefore consolidating our commitment to good governance and risk management as a basis for business sustainability. In terms of CSR, 2018 has been a particularly important year, since it's the year in which our CSR master plan has also been fully completed, with all of the actions proposed having been completed, and a new plan focusing on contributing to sustainable development objectives with actions which seek to strengthen economic, social and environmental value growth. One of the main objectives of the new CSR plan for the period 2019-22 will therefore be to establish the basis for the management of corporate social responsibility in relation to its contribution to sustainable development objectives, relating strategic lines to be followed in the alignment of these goals, the SDGs. In this way, we will be able to quantitatively address the economic, social, and environmental challenges facing humankind. The Euskaltel Group is committed to the 2030 local agenda of Euskadi, Galicia, and Asturias, and we're committed to developing and implementing solutions and technologies which will allow us to tackle the world's major challenges in the area of sustainable development. As a group, in recent years, we've also acquired a profound understanding of the ODGs, transmitting these to our people through internal campaigns and embracing and ensuring that this is embedded in our corporate culture. And this is also, we've placed a focus on priority ODGs, ODG 8, which is decent work and economic growth, ODG 9, industry, innovation, infrastructure 2, objectives which are fully aligned with the activity of the group, together with ODG 17, alliances to achieve objectives, the latter which has resulted in more than 150 collaborations to drive the development of technological startups and also the development of local entrepreneurship. Senior management has also embraced and interiorized the integration of the ODGs in the strategy to fully align them with the company's objectives, and also this represents an opportunity to identify future areas of business as proposed by the UN. And we've also talked about our people, as Pachi mentioned. The new digital reality offers enormous opportunities for transformation and also for our people. With a view to offering a better service and maintaining our commitment to being a close company, we have undertaken a firm commitment to the digitalization of work posts. Further, we're also developing new forms of working collaboration between people in order to facilitate or reconcile professional and personal life and improve efficiency and labor productivity. We believe that the first step towards digital transformation must start at our own processes, in our day-to-day work, and thus offer the best service to our customers, involving all of our professionals. This also responds to the need to attract and retain the best talent in a society in which 35% of people are currently millennials who are seeking places to work, and they place the improvement of society before the generation of profits as a priority. Euskaltel Group is a project for people, a project in which management incorporates the recognition, innovation, professional development, motivation, commitment, pride in the sense of belonging, and also an ideal framework for establishing relationships, which also constitutes a differential value and at the same time corporate reputation and its brand. One of the strategic lines of this model is the reconciliation policy and also the management systems for managing staff in the company. As an example, we promote the Talent TU program to offer possibilities for growth and professional development to all of our staff. For this purpose, it's supported on leadership projects to transform the company and also on attracting young talent. We can also highlight equal opportunities, dialogue, continual or always listening and providing service and attention have led us to dynamize and also to update our management systems and also the conditions for balancing personal, family and labour life for all people in Euskaltel, with a view to consolidating the company as a benchmark company in the area of reconciliation and shared responsibility. But we're not just satisfied with those measures. We've also developed the Women with Talent program as a commitment in order to valorize the role of women in the Euskaltel Group and also to advance towards equality and also to drive female leadership. In a world that cannot be conceived without technology, it's important to transmit to society the importance of strengthening training and professional training in men and women without distinction. Therefore, in accordance with our equality policy, we're promoting collaboration programs with the academic world and also to encourage the presence of women in career development programs and training programs related to business in the Euskaltel Group. Environmental sustainability. We maintain our commitment to excellence in environmental management as a reflection of our commitment to combating climate change, contributing to the sustainable development goals relating to production and responsible consumption, and also action for climate. And with the development of these initiatives, we can also strengthen the group's culture and also align our activities with the best practices in the market. We're aware of the environmental challenges that we face, and therefore we have to work on promoting a responsible attitude, ongoing improvement for the management of environmental aspects of our operations, and also to reduce the environmental impacts of the group in a context of growth and technological change. Therefore, in 2018, we've continued to develop our environmental master plan, which reflects our commitment to combating climate change and its effects, as well as the efficient use of resources. This master plan lays out the lines aimed at reducing the group's carbon footprint and also the improvement of environmental management, and therefore the contribution to the 2030 agenda in all autonomous communities where the Euskaltel Group is present. Precisely for the third consecutive year, we're celebrating this GSM under the label of Erronka Garbia, through which the Basque government certifies that we have implemented measures to minimize the negative impacts on the environment in the course of the event. It's an example of our commitment to the environment, and another example of our commitment to the protection of the environment. Also in this area, we've also signed an agreement with Iberdrola for the sale purchase of long-term energy for electricity supplied based on renewables. And this agreement is also the first of its type in Spain, signed by an energy company, a telecommunications company. Customer experience, well, the digital development of the process, as Pachi mentioned, allows us to become closer to our customers, one of the corporate values that defines us most and which makes our group stand out. We've made enormous efforts to implement a new customer relationship management system which allows a two-way communication that's much improved with our customers, thus allowing us to identify their needs, expectations and satisfaction with the service received. We've also created a customized or personalized portal for them to consult their consumption in bills and also offers, and also thus intensify communication in stores to establish a direct and personal relationship with users. Customer loyalty, or the loyalty of the Grupo Euskaltel's customers, is one of our main assets because it provides a sustainable competitive advantage in the long term. For the group, customer satisfaction is crucial to harness their loyalty. This is why we continue to work on offering them more than a service, but rather an experience, which links the customer to the brand and also our corporate values. The customer experience program is based on corporate values and studies the 10 key moments in the relationship of the group with consumers. All of our clients' opinions that they feed back to us are then channeled into an action plan aimed at providing a better service and understanding trends in the market. In 2018, the customer experience team was formed by 107 people who measure satisfaction at each key moment and work to resolve any unsatisfactory experiences, allowing the group to improve constantly. We've also undertaken a retail transformation program with the remodeling of sales points through improved work systems and also improved results in terms of experience. To summarize, all of the achievements and challenges assumed are the result of a committed team supported on the confidence of our shareholders, investors. In this context, we strengthen the loyalty of our customers, and this helps us to grow. Every person that's trusted in us and placed their confidence in us forms part of the success of the Euskaltel Group, and it's thanks to their support that we've become one of the leading telecommunications operators in our markets. Our commitment is to continue to grow together with all of you, aware of the needs of each territory and providing an excellent service. And finally, the Euskaltel Group has offered its support and efforts leading the development of state-of-the-art technology telecommunication networks and placing our territories at the forefront of connectivity and business digitalization. In 2019, we will continue to work as we've done in the past, including our contribution to the promotion of the digital transformation of the economy and also sustained growth and the sustainable growth of society. We'll work on applying our talent to generate digital solutions that improve the day-to-day lives of people and companies, creating at the same time value for people, for our staff, for clients, for shareholders, and in short, for all society, which is an example of the responsibility and commitment that we've acquired to contribute to their development and well-being. And finally, I would like to acknowledge everyone's participation through whose commitment, effort, and contribution has achieved such a wonderful project, a project which has an encouraging future with many challenges, and through growth, the Euskaltel Group will bolster its solidity and stability. Thank you very much. And without further ado, I would hereby close this GSM. Thank you very much.
Yo creo que tengo que decir que tenemos un...
Well, I think that it's also important to mention that we prepared a cocktail for everyone at the back just to reward you for your patience. Thank you.